Hey guys, welcome back. It is that time again, time for our show, the Gigachat. I am, of course, joined by my wonderful co host, GB. Take it away, sir.
Hi there. How you guys doing? Today it's our second Giga Chat and this is gonna be a good one.
Today we're talking about to own or to rent. Let's dive in. Of course, we deal with plenty of rank changes, gameplay changes in general. We're going to look at aspects of owning, renting, or perhaps even quitting the game. And we'd like to cover all of the investment options available to us here in the Hive Splinterlands community. Okay. Starting off with rank changes. Man, oh man, big topic.
Big
No
big
level
change.
caps per league. Big change indeed, GB.
Yeah, so they did warn us about like 2 months ago, but now that there are no max levels anymore, it completely changed the meta, right? So all the existing decks now are very lacklusters because a very few high level cards can absolutely wipe the floor with your existing deck, especially if you were playing maybe back in silver or even in gold, right?
Agreed. What we used to do is no longer working. People are complaining about facing max level decks all the way down in bronze and silver, like you said. We need to adapt. We need to change. We cannot keep doing what we've been doing.
Yeah, and even though I think that the change was good overall, it does require an adaptation. If you just I have my deck already. I want to keep doing the same thing that I was doing. You're gonna be very, very, very disappointed.
Yeah, you're going to feel the pain and most likely end up on the rage quit pile.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to show here on the show. Like, what are the options? Like, what can we do? Like, how can we adapt facing all these constant changes with sometimes not so many warnings. I mean, in this the rank changes, even though there was a decent amount of time like warning beforehand, that doesn't mean it's we had like necessary time to prepare just because the change was so big, right? Like our decks are worth hundreds or for some people even thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and you can't make moves with 100,000 worth of cards in a month's time, right? So, yeah, sometimes even with warning, these changes fundamentally affect our assets, our game.
Yeah, another change in that is coming. I don't know how much warning they're gonna give us was about burning Gladius cards. I recently burned all my Gladius cards just in case it comes without warning, but that's also it can happen like overnight. And
Great
again,
tip
my
there,
bet was
GB.
yeah.
So, for those of you out there who are interested in getting some extra DEC perhaps from those gladiator cards and burning them, it is something to consider. It may not be around for much longer.
Yeah.
Okay, adapt or die. Do we just quit or do we take a different approach? Playing or investing?
Or anything in between, right?
Exactly. You know, so many options between those two areas. You can completely go to the passive side of investment or more to the active side of actually participating and playing. Yeah, starting with the big one, rage quit. Of course, we don't want players to leave, um, but ultimately, if it's not for you, that is an option. Quitting for real, cashing out.
Yeah, I mean, even though I don't think it's a great option, I think the game is actually going a good direction. But we think it would be fair to highlight all the options here, right? Like you need to have this mindset that this is the type of game that we have. It's something that is gonna be constantly
Keep
changing. Uh,
happening.
yes.
Exactly. Um, it is the nature of games that have continuous updates, right? Think about anything that has continuous patches, right? There's always changes, and sometimes people are not happy with those changes.
Yeah, but and also we're highlighting here that we you don't have to just quit for real. You can quit just on the parts that maybe you don't like it. Again, you don't need to play the full game. Like this game is really deep, and you can specialize, or you can focus on the parts that you want, and
That
not
do interest
necessarily
you.
about
Exactly.
everything.
You know, if you don't want to be active, play. Uh, don't play, but invest, right? If you do want to be active, play, but don't own anything.
Yeah, there are multiple options. You can have you can rent stuff. You can have scholars, but I think we'll cover this.
Yeah, so these are options under the quitting side of things,
Yeah,
right? But on our next slide, playing, which is for me the best part about the game, and I was pleasantly surprised by finding out that you know besides the fun, it is the best ROI in the game. At 47.3% here for a silver play example. Pretty damn juicy.
yeah. Just bear in mind that this example, even though I think it illustrates well, it doesn't cover all the variables, right? This is gonna depend on your win rate, on how many energy you buy, on your deck, or how much you spend to rent. This is but about
All
SES
factors.
as a yeah. But the point is like that's around and this percentage say the 47% ROI. That's like per day. It's not like a year thing. It's like a per day. So it's really nuts. Like there's absolutely nothing that comes close to it
Close.
investment wise.
So if you do enjoy the game, this is definitely something that you should be paying attention to.
Yeah, if you're already gonna be playing already, then it's just like yeah, great news. You're already making the best investment.
You're doing the right thing. Some considerations here. It takes time, right? Dollars equals hours. Um, if you don't have the time to invest in playing, you may not find it as profitable as you see here.
And also, let's say if you don't like the game, if you're playing just because you care about the money, maybe it's time to stop playing. Like because if you look at the dollars per hour, like that's really really low. As you can see here, the top right corner in this example here, you're making like around like 50 cents per hour playing. Like
Mhm.
it's yeah, you're better getting off a side job and instead of playing the game.
Sure. If you don't enjoy, yeah, definitely not an option to consider.
Yeah, but of
If you
course,
do,
again, if you enjoy,
added
yeah,
bonus.
yes,
Lovely.
absolutely.
All
And
right.
also, yeah, just last point here, say yeah, it's even though the investment is really good, it's very difficult to scale because well, like this is already assuming that you are playing with your full attention, right? So it, again, you can do it slightly better. Again, you can go up in leagues, but it's not that much better. Like the only way to scale would to be able to do like multiple automated accounts, which is basically bots. But then if you want to play bots, you need to play in wild, and in wild the earnings are not gonna be not even
As
close to
juicy.
this. Yeah, to this.
Exactly. Much, much lower. And that's where the problem of scaling comes in, right? Can scale with bots, but not with humans, at least in the current system. All right. Now the exciting part, all of our different investment options. Vru's running away with the gold there.
Yeah.
SPS, our first one. I think let's just cover everything briefly, and
Okay.
then we'll jump into each topics. So all of the options, investment options, we're going to look at is SPS. We're going to look at card rentals. We're going to look at HBD. We're going to look at Hive and the curation part side of things. We're going to dig into the node licenses, LPs, and of course, last but not least, our flipping and trading of assets.
Yeah,
Okay.
and also like one of the reasons we're showing investment options here is mostly to have a reference of to be able to compare. Okay, like okay, you have like your owning cards, you have like or even just playing the game. Like you need to compare with all the other options to see if you are what you're doing is what you want to be doing, like again what you like to do, and also if it makes sense, if you just shouldn't, if you're not playing the game wrong, let's say like maybe you should be focusing on something else that is you're probably going to find it more fun or and it might be even more profitable.
Exactly. We're just trying to give an overview of all the options available to the players here at this stage. Okay, SPS, 20% APR overall. That's when we add our staking and vouchers, which is 13.24, along with our 5.85 from renting out our owned SPS.
Yes, and also we have this question mark here because there were or there are potential benefits that come like once in a while. So right now I think we're gonna have arcade colony airdrops. We back about here we had Vruz, right? So Vruz
Cruise
was
was a prime
a
example.
promo card that was given
Yes,
for people holding SPS. So that's why we're adding around like 1% there for these extra airdrops.
which come around every now and again.
Yeah.
Yeah, considerations here. It does take 30 days to unlock our SPS, of course.
Yeah, so I mean, study day technically is like you do get like a percentage every week, but I mean, come on, at the end it's like 30 days because you cannot like
You
start
don't get
another
access to your
unstaking.
funds.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you cannot start another unstake because like you earn some SPS, and then if you start again, it's gonna reset the timer. Um, but yeah, and after that we and also consideration because that this 5.85% here, it's also depending on the value of the SPS, how much you can rent it out for, and bear in mind that I don't know if you guys ever rented out SPS, but it's not that great. Like you can only do it for a week, and people can cancel you. You need to wait until your order gets fulfilled because it's basically like an order book with just one side. So you need to take that in mind for both sides, right? Like either if you're renting or if you just have SPS passively and you want to rent out, there's still some management, some small annoyances there.
the market certainly is not efficient and well structured at the moment. There is definitely some missing pieces, in my opinion. Um, Not that they can't be solved, but right now we are not quite there yet when it comes to the market, in my opinion.
Yeah.
All right, card rentals. Buying cards to rent them out and creating DC income for yourself.
Yes. So while this is a really good option, I think we'll see in the next slides. I just want to preface the considerations here that while it's great that you can have your, I think that's the good part of this Web3 thing, right? Like this really feel, I think that you feel that you own your assets, right? Because like you can use it to play, but if you change your mind, you can rent it out. Like you
Mhm.
feel like you have many options to use your asset with. But again,
That
that
is
does, sorry.
that is what's great about Web3, but also the risk, right? Yes, we are the owner of the assets, but we also get left with the bags if things fall out.
Yeah, which, as we've pointed out here, this can definitely happen. So if you have your cards, you need to be in a constant like lookout of what's happening, what new cards, like maybe they release some cards that counter your cards, so now you need to see, am I gonna sell or should I buy some of these counter cards. You also need to manage those cards, even though I think they have some sites that do that. I think Splex, if I'm not mistaken, like they manage the cards for you. Do you know any other site that does that?
I don't actually. I think Splex is the only one we really have available at this stage. And as far as rental management goes, yes, it requires time, but I do believe you can actually do a better job if you do it yourself. Um, Not to say that there may be some tools in the future that can do it very well for us, or perhaps some tools that I'm not even aware of. Um,
Yeah,
Definitely something that I think is needed.
yeah, but as you mentioned, I think that because that's one strategy, right? Either you focus on quality or quantity. So I think if you do focus on quantity, that's it's gonna be hard for you to manage by yourself.
Sure,
But if you do like buy some specific key cards and focus on renting those like really well, yeah, you can probably do a better job. And we can see a
agreed.
few examples of that here.
All right, so what we've brought out here is this is the Chaos Legion set, and we've chosen to look at max cards available on the market. And as you can see, the ROA here being demonstrated is everything above 90%. Our best choice here, Lear of the Dark, coming in at a whopping 254% ROA, right? So that is pretty astronomical.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure these numbers are legit. Again, I don't know how easy it would be to rent out this Lear of the Dark, but I can say for sure about especially the common cards here like Untold Platoon or Radiated Scorch. I know that they rent for this price. I've even like paid around these
You've
prices
rented
myself.
at those prices,
Yeah.
so they're not crazy prices or prices that are just here to make things look exciting. These are legit prices that are currently on the market, and it may not always remain this way, right? It may change, right? The rental market has fallen out before, but I do think we've reached a point where it is fairly stable.
Yeah, plus
um,
it's kind of risk free in a way that the Chaos Legion cards are kind of cheap already, right? Like they don't have that
yeah.
much more room to fall. Most of them are even like close
Exactly.
to the burn value.
Right. So if anything, they're probably going to go up, right? Which will make this even more juicier, right? If you've bought low and now the value of the car is doubled, um, yeah, up from here is good, I reckon.
Yeah.
Chaos Legion probably has the highest percentages, as you'll notice from our next slide here. So Rift Watchers ROA, I only took the top half of the data, but no triple digit numbers here. So, and that could be, you know, because Rift Watchers, there are lesser, there are definitely less of them around.
It might also be because some of these cards, I think they reach a nice break point before their max level. So, for example, the first one here, Inevitable, if I'm not mistaken, it only gains strength and max level, right? So it
Yes, I
might
think so.
maybe people are just keeping it at level 3 instead. Um, so then maybe not like willing to
Cost
pay these
related.
really high prices. Just I mean, maybe only the people that really are fighting for the leaderboards or something.
Yeah. Also, it could be something to do with the stability of the Rift Watchers prices, right? They have kind of remained stable. And these
Hmm.
percentages are not bad. I mean, 84% on an inevitable, that is pretty damn good, as ROAs go.
Yeah, and I think even if you're just looking at these in quotes like lower cards here, like 40%, that's still very good, as you say. Like if you're gonna keep at stable prices, because like Rift watches, they're already out of print, right?
Yes.
Compared to something like Rebellion, which is has around the same amount of available packs right now. But in
Yes.
theory, it could go way higher, right? I think
Way
even
higher.
like to
Way
9 million or
more
something, right? I don't think we're gonna get
available.
there, but it's still
It
possible.
it could get close. It could get close if things get exciting, for sure.
And talking
And
about
last
that,
but not least, of course, is Rebellion. And here things are looking slightly more juicy. And, again, we're coming to that liquidity issue, right? Not enough cards. You'll notice here that the liquidity is the lowest out of all the numbers we've seen, right? Max cards available here, 1 and 2 digit numbers. So, no, 1 and 2 as numbers. Very, very low single digit numbers.
yeah. So I think it's very difficult to base ourselves into these numbers here, because we have like conflicts that completely change how the game works here. So like no one is gonna, I mean, not no one, because we can see a few here, but in general, people are not
Very
gonna
few.
place cards on the market, because then they
They
lose on
prefer
the chances, right? Like the conquest conflicts. Yeah.
the airdrops.
Yeah.
Everybody's after the juicy airdrops, myself included. The Riftwatcher cards I have are on wagons. They are not on the rental market. And I am playing with them. So, yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Actually,
So
I don't.
while
Why do you think people even put this here on the market?
because there is definitely rental demand, right? There are people who want these cards and they are renting them out at these insane prices, so yeah,
Yeah, I
perhaps
guess.
they think the rental is more juicy than the airdrops.
Yeah, actually, yeah, might need to do this math, but I don't. But this is not gonna last for a while as well.
It's not going to last. I don't think we can trust these percentages right now.
Yeah.
It's too early to really say. We'll need to get more data, more time to be a little bit more comfortable with these numbers. Yeah. Up next we have HBD. Fairly simple HBD settings on your keychain, and if you stake that HBD, you can get a 20% APR that's paid out on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so I think this is a good reference for us to have, right? Because, for example, the 20% is very similar to the 20% on SPS, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if you don't wanna be exposure to the SPS volatility, if you're not sure, is it gonna go down, is it gonna go up? If you just care about the dollars, then you might as well stay in HPD. It's and it's even more passive. You don't need to rent out your SPS or anything, or sell vouchers or whatever.
Exactly. There are some considerations though, and one thing we do need to keep in mind, and not too distant history, the Terra Luna collapse.
Yeah. So this again, I don't fully understand HPD, but I think it's also an algorithm stable coin with very similar to Terra Luna. I think there is something called like the haircut. There's some extra mechanisms to prevent like a death spiral, but again, the point is like for the people watching, like, do you know how HBD fully works? So probably not. So you might ju- just understand that if you're gonna park a huge sum of money there, make sure you fully understand. Like, go read the white paper there.
All right. Hive curation. Creating content does take time, but when you do, there is some value to add. You can generate, as you see from the picture here, this is a weekly post of mine. And, just by producing content, you can earn a little bit of extra on the side.
Yeah, but And here I think we have the parallel with the play and investing. So right here you will have like creating content, right? Which is, it doesn't matter how much capital you have, you just need to put on the, in this case, like the time and knowledge, let's say time and skill, compared to time and skill to play as well. But for curate content, you do require to have a bunch of hive. So and you also require some time, because you actually need to read the post and everything to see if it's a good if a good post or
Post.
not.
Yeah, if you're creating bad quality posts, you will be earning less. That is for sure, right? So, but that being said, if you keep on producing, you will earn, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and the reason here we didn't even try to put like an APR value is because the math on how the payouts happen is very complex. It depends on, is a lot of math formulas related on like when you upvote and who upvotes before and after you. And it's not very linear. It's but
it is quite a complex calculation, which is why we avoided it. But safe to say that there is a decent amount of earnings
yeah,
if you produce good content on a regular basis.
yeah, probably at least equivalent to the other base methods, like maybe HBD or SPS.
Okay. Node license. And here was another surprise for me, right? This one, of course, related to SPS and vouchers. As you can see here, there's been 5,008 purchased. And yeah, the APR, if you purchase low price, right now we're looking at about 42.3%, which is also a pretty damn big number.
Yeah, and I was also surprised, as I said, because I think this is so much easier than FPS. It's like so much more passive. Right? You
Yeah,
don't basically don't need to do anything, and
nothing required.
but I think it's very interlinked with SPS and the whole ecosystem, right? So I'm pretty sure, like, okay, if the SPS is gonna go up, your payment here is SPS, so it's
It's
very
going
likely
up
that the price of the
automatically.
node is also going up, yeah, and
Yeah,
vice versa.
sure.
So, man, I don't know. Maybe we're missing something here, but it just looks that only node license is so much better than SPS. It's just
Well,
basically double
let me
APR.
give a caveat, right? And you know, the market price. So if you're buying on the Hive market, yes, it is 640. But if you're buying in game a node right now, you're looking at a price of $2,500 plus vouchers, right? That is not as juicy as this APR, right?
Yeah,
So do keep that in mind, guys. This is purchasing on the Hive market, secondary sales of node licenses, not from in-game purchases.
yeah. Don't buy node license
Okay,
from the
you're
in
gonna
game.
lose if you buy in-game. Okay, don't
Yeah,
do
actually,
that.
it's no surprise that the number here is very close to 5,000, right? Because I think it's when they went to the next tier.
I think this is
So
the first tier, right? Yeah, or maybe the first two tiers. I think it's the pre-sale plus the first tier that has been sold.
yeah, I don't remember how many tier, but my point is like, okay, now we changed the tier, and now it makes absolutely no sense to buy more.
Not at
For
current
now,
SPS price, right?
yeah, for
If
now,
SPS price goes up, maybe things will change. But yeah, realistically, that is not really a good option.
yeah. But one thing to pay attention here as well, because I don't think you can buy a fraction of a license. So that's another, maybe that's one of the reasons also like why people would prefer to have SPS, because you can keep adding to your bags, right? Instead of saving a bunch of money up front and buying one
One
single
thing.
node license. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So considerations here: um, are node licenses abandoned? Has the team forgotten about them?
Yeah, I think the word that they used was like they were shelved or something similar. And man, which is, it's kind of like a shame, because I personally, I'm not gonna lie. That's what I'm most excited about the whole Splinterlands is actually like to become this real Web3 game. And
Exactly. And nodes is a big part of becoming Web3. Without that, we do not have decentralization. Without that, we do not have um, a true Web3.
yeah, I still think people don't fully understand how the Splinterland games works like technically. Like the people keep saying, it's the blockchain, it's the blockchain." Man, it's most of it is on their like private centralized server, right? The
Yeah,
blockchain is just a glorified messaging system, right?
agreed. Agreed. We are a long way off from real Web3.
Uh, anyway, another option.
Or and our next option here, LPs. Some fairly juicy percentages here. I think the highest we're looking at is 37. Is that right?
Yeah, I
With the
think that
DEC
correct.
SPS.
Yeah,
There is a range, DC USDC 25%, BNB 19%, wrapped ETH 21%. So various ranges here. Of course, you require both of those pairs, 50-50, to go into an LP, for those of you who are not aware of how these things work. Yeah, anything from your side?
yeah, just not because I think like you were saying about the low APRs here. Some of them is just because they're like two stable coins. We have, let's say, DC USDC or DC DAI.
Yeah,
Uh, so the impermanence loss is likely to be a lot lower in these two cases, and the APR kind of reflects on that. And yeah, I
sure.
think that's what is important to note. I think this in the other examples that we had, I think we could account like the APR almost as like true APR, but I feel with liquidity pools, this is almost like the best case scenario because you are gonna suffer impermanent loss, like it's basically inevitable.
It will happen. It will happen. And, do be careful out there, guys. Those of you who are interested in LPs. It is certainly lucrative, but there can be loss suffered, right? And
But
then the second consideration here, you want to add something on the
no, no,
impermanent loss?
no. Yeah, I was gonna move to the second one, but yeah.
All right. So exposure to multiple tokens, right?
Which can be a good thing or a bad thing. It's up to you. I think that's it's almost like a tool in your tool belt because like if you want to hold like two different tokens, then maybe and they do have the liquidity pool, then it's almost I think a very good opportunity for you to do so because then you only need to manage in one place instead of having to kind of like handle two different investments.
Agreed. Agreed. Um, Again, can be risky, right? So do your own research. Make sure you invest in coins or hold coins that you feel are stable.
Yeah,
Um,
because it can be bad. I'd say, for example, I think if you want to have vouchers liquidity pool from what I'm seeing here, there's only one option, which is like vouchers and Hive. But maybe you just care about vouchers. You don't want to hold Hive, but now you kind of have to.
if you want to
So
get on the LP,
yeah,
you need to earn
yeah,
50-50, right? Some of these LPs are due for some changes, right? I do know that they are looking at the rewards of some of these LPs in our most recent proposals, and some of these rewards will be going away, right? So usually what that means is a higher APR because people are getting out because of the less rewards.
yeah,
Something to keep in mind.
yeah. I think maybe some even passed already. I'm not sure. Need to check.
I do believe so. I do believe so. And then our last topic here for investing options is, of course, flipping and trading. uh, Buying in bulk.
Yeah. So I think this is probably the best example when we had like pre-sales, right? So for example, we had like Rebellion, we had the pre-sale, and then people could buy in bulk and get, I think, a 15% or 20% discount, something
Certainly.
very massive. But you also require a lot of upfront capital.
Exactly. It's usually bigger numbers that get to those percentages.
Yeah. I mean, you can also flip cards or packs. Again, you don't need to buy them in bulk. A lot of the times, you can just follow the news cycle and or just keep paying attention there, because a lot of the times the price of the pack have been like quite stable.
It has made, slight movements, but you're right. I think Chaos Legion is hovering around the 94 cents right now, which I think is a little bit higher than it's been for a while, but not by much. The Rift Watchers and the Rebellion have remained pretty stable at about 380 was kind of like the last price I recall.
Yeah,
$3.80 mark
but yeah, around that.
for both of those. Yeah.
And I mean, there's another option related to packs, in particular, just opening them. So you essentially just arbitraging the price of them, like closed and open. In a way, you are kind of selling potions as well, doing that. But that's another. Yeah, again, what we're trying to show here is just like these options of what you can do with your capital and time, right? So you don't necessarily need to follow one strategy. You can do this whole like trading and flipping, because like as this meme here is showing, is that the whole economy is
Connected.
yeah, they're connected, and a lot of the time it's like they make changes to one place and then the other goes down and the ones go up. Like it have this slightly like artificial taste to it. Mm.
Yeah. Training on town hall news, buy the sell, buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, exactly. So I think this the most recent one, I think, was, yeah, let's say they made the rank changes, so that, and they introduced the voucher, buy energy with vouchers, right?
Hmm.
So that's a very clear example.
Exactly. Trying to pump the voucher price here a bit, right? So we're pulling on the voucher
Uh,
corner,
yeah,
and the question is, where is it going to change, right? Which
yeah,
which other corner is going to be affected? Is it SAPS? Is it DC? Or is it the card prices? Um, Time will tell, I guess.
okay.
All right. That brings us to our final thoughts. Playing the game, surprisingly high APR. If playing well, you do not, uh, if you do not mind or enjoy the playing, that is, the time required to put in that effort. I myself don't. I'm definitely in that category.
Yeah, I like playing as well.
Then our next item here, node licenses as a passive income option. Also, very interesting APR numbers.
Surprising it. I completely ignore. Basically forgot about no license after they were shelved.
And the only concern I have there is kind of like you said, shelved, right? So I really hope they do take that off the shelf and you know um, move into that side of things. Like you mentioned, that for me is a key part of Web3, and Web3 is really why I'm here, or the promise of Web3 is why I'm here.
Yeah, I also think that like could they completely abandon it, and let's say could they completely change direction and then say like, okay, we're not gonna go full Web3. I think they could. That would be definitely a shame. I don't even think I would be around then. But if you're just talking about like investment wise, like if people are caring about that. I don't think it matters so much because you can just treat node license as another token, right? That pays
Mhm.
out SPS and vouchers, and that's it.
Sure,
Regardless
it
of
can remain as is. It doesn't ever need to change, right? But I do believe that it's a very, very big potential that we're not tapping into.
yeah,
Okay, so if you do have the time and capital, owning and renting cards is probably one of the best options for you.
yeah. As we saw, it was like 40% plus, sometimes like 100, 200%, right? And that's again fairly passive, right? Because ideally, if even if you're managing yourself, if the prices are somewhat stable, okay, you need to pay the
You put
listing
it in
fee one
once,
time, but then yeah, then after that, it's stay there forever, right? Assuming it's
or
renting.
until the prices change again, right? But I mean, if they're stable, then we're okay, and no changes required. Fairly easy to manage.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then our final point here, not without risk. There is risk here, right? But few things in life are without risk.
yeah, but that's the thing. You kind of need to choose your own risk, and I think that was the whole point of this slide. It's just showing like, look, like this game is really deep. You have like multiple options again between like the whole spectrum between like playing and investment, and there is definitely a lot of fun that can be had, and but also a lot of opportunities there. But you cannot just keep doing the same thing. This is a constantly changing environment and requires a lot of planning, spreadsheets, everything. But I think that's part of the game, and that's fun as well. I personally find that interesting. What
I
about
love
you?
that side of things. I love my spreadsheets and tracking my earnings and things like that. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
that's really it from my side. I can't think of any other things to add here.
yeah. No, I think this was already very in depth. It was a good one.
Well, guys, on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us here on our episode 2 of Gigachat. It has been a pleasure spending some time here with you all. Until next time,
Yeah,
the more the
awesome,
merrier.
awesome guys, and until stay tuned for next week, Gigachat 3. Take care.
There we go.